Hello and welcome to our webinar. I'm Beth Vefferly and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Redpoint Global. I'll moderate the discussion today. We've got great panelists and a great topic to cover. We'll be talking about how Millipore Sigma use data readiness to master identities and maximize the impact of their marketing campaigns. Before we get started, here are just a few housekeeping items. If you have any audio issues during the viewing, you can click the audio icon on your screen. If you have any viewing issues, you can use the Q&A section to communicate with us. And then during the webinar, you can also send questions and comments directly to us about the presentation at any time. I'll monitor the Q&A and we'll get to as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation, time allowing. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our panelists. So today we have Mark Brausch, the CDP product owner at Millipore Sigma. Welcome, Mark. And Tim Perry, the co-owner of Solvena. So welcome to both of you. We're so glad to have you here today. So we've got a lot to cover today. After intros, we plan to talk about the key business challenges facing Millipore Sigma, how they overcame them by creating a strong data readiness foundation at a global scale, some of the use cases they're pursuing, including marketing campaigns and lead scoring, and of course, the results. So, moving right along, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
And for those hi. I'm Mark Brausch. I'm with Millipore Sigma. So the businesses of Merck KGaA, Darmstadt, Germany, operate as EMD Serrano, Millipore Sigma, and EMD Electronics in the US and Canada. So where you're listening from will dictate which one of our entities you may be familiar with. If you're outside the US and Canada, you may know us simply as Merck. At our core, we're a vibrant science technology company made up of over 62,000 employees spread across 65 countries. Science is at the heart of everything we do. It drives the discoveries we make and the technologies we create. People within our company make a positive difference to millions of people's lives every day. In healthcare, we discover unique ways to treat the most challenging diseases, such as multiple sclerosis and cancer. In electronics, we develop science that sets inside technologies and changes the way we access, store, and process and display information. Lastly, my role is in our third core area of our business, which is life sciences, where I lead our digital marketing customer data initiatives. We aim to empower the scientific community to find the right tools, services, digital platforms to make research simpler, more exact, and help deliver breakthroughs more quickly. We have a catalog of over 300,000 products and services to address the many use cases you can see on the slide. Everything we do is fueled by this belief in science technology as a force for good, a belief that's driven our work since 1668 and will continue to inspire us to find more joyful and sustainable ways to live. And with that, I'll hand it over to Tim.
Awesome. 1668, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So as mentioned, I'm Tim Perry. I'm located outside of Chicago, and I've personally been in the data and MarTech space for a lot of years. I've helped dozens of organizations over that time, worked through a myriad of technologies during that stint as well. And for anyone that isn't familiar, as shown on the slide here, I'm representing Solvena. We're a US-based consulting firm with a focus on data, marketing, and analytics solutions. We help both large enterprises and small organizations as well. Our role is to help clients like Millipore Sigma or Merck to cut through the complexity and maximize the impact of their customer data in MarTech investments. Our team members are solvers, which we refer to them as. We thrive on solving complex business problems with simple, effective solutions. At the end of the day, we try to make data more exciting by turning it into something that drives tangible business outcomes. In this use case that you'll hear about today, Redpoint Global was selected as the data readiness, segmentation, targeting layers. Eloqua was in the mix from an email service provider and transitioned later to Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So super excited for the session. Thanks for tuning in. I hope we share enough details that each of you can walk away with one meaningful nugget that you can apply in your role down the road. Feel free to throw some questions into the chat. We're happy to answer things because we can't get to all details in the session, or reach out to one of us over LinkedIn, and we're happy to address things afterwards. So with that, over to you, Beth.
Great. Thank you both. I'll just add that this has been a really great partnership between all three companies. So I'm really happy that we're able to do this webinar together today. I'll just quickly add a little bit about Redpoint. So as Tim said, Redpoint software forms the Data Readiness Foundation. We have a data readiness hub that closes the context gap in customer data. It helps organizations manage the real world complexities of their customer data and provides a situational awareness and data insights that underpin successful AI and CX campaigns. It works with your existing CDP, but we also offer our own customer data platform that's built with these data readiness principles at its core. So you can be confident that any data that you have in your CDP is complete, accurate and timely, and ready for personalization. So that's an intro. So now that we have that out of the way, let's just jump right into it. So Mark, can you tell us what business challenges you were trying to address that led to the need for a new solution?
Yeah, absolutely. It was really centered around our emphasis on a first-party data strategy to reduce risk and our reliance on third parties and cookies across our martech stack. So Google was not sharing their plan to or with their cookie deprecation, and that was also one of our original catalysts internally. Secondly, data silos and limitations with activating our data for digital marketing purposes, fragmented data across multiple systems, inconsistent KPIs, the whole bunch. And really what the problem was a lack of a unified customer profile and our inability to link activity to one customer, one account. So with that came a myriad of holistic data readiness issues, whether it was quality, standardization, a lack of distribution channel integrations, and real or near-time data processing. And really what we're doing was trying to enable a comprehensive multi-channel strategy to address really fragmented customer engagement. Another factor into this was because of all the things I just mentioned, really difficult to scale and expose ourselves to also a lot of data privacy risks, which can be very costly due to profiling, and we'll get into that a little bit later on as well.
Great, thanks, Mark. Yeah, from what we've seen in our work, these challenges are universal, right? And I'm sure that many other organizations and those in our audience today can wholeheartedly relate to them. So, Tim, you've helped lead the effort in rolling out a new solution at Millipore. How did your team approach the process of creating this data readiness foundation and a unified profile?
Yeah, awesome. And actually, I'm going to start by focusing on that word team real quick. And for anybody listening to this, if you've been part of a bigger project, you know you want that acknowledgement as well. So while Mark, Beth, and myself are here representing this, the team was broad, and there were a lot of hard work into building everything that you're going to hear about today. So, from the likes of Mark himself, Laura, Stefan, Ojasvi, Sydney, Dave, John, Mac, Miranda, Trev, Connie, and many, many more. Huge thank yous to all of them. We get to do this while they're busy working. So thank you to all of them. So Beth, to the core of your question, when we first embarked on this unified customer view or the data readiness journey, the challenge at Millipore was not a lack of data, right? Like most of the listeners right now at whatever organization you're a part of, data is everywhere. That's part of the problem, is it's everywhere. And there were inconsistencies across the board, and it was very unreliable. And so like Mark said, this platform was ultimately intended to drive better marketing, better analysis, and lay the foundation for AI efforts. But in order to get there, we had to start with the data readiness piece. So that's how we jumped into really starting with these three main challenges. Data being scattered everywhere, the myriad of integration tools, Millipore, Merck, massive organization, and they had a lot of different integration tools at play. Even for smaller firms, I'm sure you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different integration tools. So we had to evaluate all of that for fit and how to use it within the architecture. But the core of this, and which we'll go into now, really became the complex identity resolution aspects and the mastering requirements. So really the big question became, how do we move from like a massive fragmented overlapping landscape to something that was unified and usable? And so most of you have probably seen diagrams like this, right? The before, super ugly and scary, the after, clean. It's not as depicted here exactly, but really the point is the same. On the left, you can see some really large enterprise applications. And so for many of you, you can start to like think through what the challenges may be. There was a massive SAP instance of global data, Palantir. We had an account-based marketing or ABM tool with demand-based. We had multiple e-com tools, multiple CRM tools to deal with, etc. So we had to figure out how are we going to bring that data, what data are we going to bring into the CDP or the data readiness hub, and then how are we going to streamline that so that we could activate it. Of course, plugging into a CDP wasn't really enough on its own. You can't just connect the dots. So data flowing through the system had to be accurate, trusted, and actionable, which leads us to this. Like, how did we do this? I'll spare everybody the project management methodology. Of course, that was super important during the implementation and during the POCs and MVP, et cetera. But this is really the core of it. So when we're establishing a data readiness, we evaluate a core checklist of these 6 categories, if you will. And first is really starting from the use cases. Use case is a little bit of an overused term to some degree. We strongly believe you have to start from the use case. That's where the value comes. But I only say overused because there's leniency to capabilities. Capabilities are maybe one step above a use case, which gives you, hey, we want to enable real-time personalization or real-time data integration. It doesn't have the specific use case yet. It's that capability that you need to unlock so that you can address certain use cases after that. But that is where a lot of time up front is just what are we trying to accomplish? What data? That ultimately helps us with prioritization and scoping of the architecture and of the implementations or implementation overall. That's where we get to the data architecture and just data mapping. What systems are we now going after? We're going to go after SAP, e-com, the CRM applications. How are we going to bring that data in and at what time? Is this daily? Is it real time? Is it intraday? All those different variations in there go into the data architecture piece. Data quality. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a subsequent slide, but data quality obviously is key. We have address standardization to deal with. We have to make sure the data is cleansed and standardized so ultimately people can trust it. This is a core piece. A lot of time is spent at this step, data profiling, analyzing the data and the values, and figuring out how do we address that through rules or AI components as well. 4 is that unified customer profile. This is the big piece, right? At Millipore in particular, this is very difficult. Their business model, as Mark said at the beginning, is multi-tiered. So business to business to consumer, and as well as business to consumer. So there's multiple factors to address. And from building out profiles in that data, we have to look at the person, but as well as an organization. And a lot of challenges within that, build to, ship to information, et cetera. So again, that was a big piece of this. We could spend a lot of time purely on that. At the end of the day, it's fair to say that from a platform perspective, that's where we leaned into Redpoint from a both deterministic, but as well as probabilistic matching in certain cases to come up with that customer profile. Data governance and compliance, you're going to hear more about this huge piece to this project, right? We had to make sure that anything that we're looking at from a data quality perspective is now feeding into the data governance area so that it can be monitored over time. And don't forget about the technology and skill alignment. At the end of the day, when we're building these applications and these solutions, it is transformative. People that are in the organization now have new tools that they have to utilize, should utilize, can utilize, and they need to adopt it. So while this framework looks good on paper, rolling it out across all the different countries does expose a few different landmines, if you will, and lessons learned. So to dive one level deeper into the technical details here, just a little bit more. But these are a couple things that we wanted to call out as challenges for this particular project. The regional address standardization, we had a lot of different geocode capabilities. Think about addresses in your mind between North America, Latin America, APAC, Western Europe, a lot of different variations in how we standardize and verify addresses. Duplicate and fragmented identities. So again, this on the last slide talked about like deterministic, probabilistic, but the piece that added to this is that some of the systems we would only get an email address. Other systems we might get the cookie or the device ID with an email address. Other systems we may only get the company, and then we might need to tie that back to people. And so we had a myriad of things that were just fragments or incomplete pieces of the customer profile that we needed to ultimately build up to that identity that we could link across systems. Cultural variations, date formats. It could be in the same system, same column, and the date formats are different depending on what the country code is. The orders of like names. I know these are basic examples. There were a lot more, but it's just meant to help you visualize. But in North America, you have first name, last name. In certain parts of Latin America, you have two surnames. In other places, it's different variations. So data quality. One last one again in the columns. Real simple example, but just think about how this would impact your world. So again, in one column could be the country code. You could, without the standardization across these apps. We could have US, U.S. or USA, United States, all these different variations. So when that data goes downstream for campaigning or for reporting, now just trying to pull everybody from the United States gets hard because you have all these different variations. So we had to just tackle those sorts of things, again, across many different fields, not just country. And we already talked about the dynamic of the B2C. So by working through these challenges, from regional quirks to duplicate identities, we ultimately got to what we're closer to. I don't want to say we're there to an ideal state, right? But we're closer to an ideal state where the customer data, it's not just clean, but it's context ready and usable across the enterprise. So the data is right and it's fit for purpose. So in the end, really the big win here from all this effort on the data foundation wasn't really just guided at smarter, faster campaigns and better reporting, but it was having greater trust. And that's a growing, evolving thing, but greater trust in the data and it being context ready so everyone across the business could rely on it to make smarter decisions.
Thanks, Tim. That's great. I love these pillars. They seem like really good guiding principles as a way to boil things down. So this is where we really need to end up with our data.
Yep.
So let's move ahead. A lot of those landmines you spoke to, Tim, were related to Millipor's large geographic reach. Mark, we'd love to hear from you about how you scaled across dozens of countries and geographies.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a global company that operates under different brands based on the region in a highly regulated industry adds multiple layers to complexity. RPI allows us to account for this when building interactions and offers. In addition, we design our distribution channel integrations to accommodate these requirements. For example, we have multiple LinkedIn accounts, so as we're doing paid advertising, we need to make sure we're pushing data to the right accounts when we're activating those campaigns. One of the biggest challenges we had to overcome, and we're still on this journey, is the variance in international data privacy compliance requirements that Redpoint also helps us navigate. So meeting the requirements of legitimate interests for prior consent, data storage location within borders, data retention, which is always ongoing, handling change requests and deletion requests, which is also always ongoing. But then there are also challenges associated with language barriers, work culture differences, time zones, and then directly in the platform as well, user permissions for appropriate data visibility depending on the scope of one of our end users' roles. So we did a phased rollout approach by region upon receiving approval from a certain country or a group of countries' data privacy officers. So as much as this is a technical problem, it's equally a people challenge as well. That's really centered around change management principles and that organizational adoption of a new platform. So all the basic things that come along with that, having a clear vision, objectives, stakeholder management, leadership buy-in being critical. Some of the more challenging aspects of that, for the former things, I think are the easy part. What I think is more challenging is around ongoing training, support, and identifying areas of resistance within your organization, because you have team members with varying levels of technical skill sets. So I put a big emphasis on upskilling and training the team as we did that phased rollout. I think in every organization, individuals often feel pressure to meet their objectives, making it difficult to change habits and things they were doing previously. So our goal was to enhance their existing efforts by really boosting their confidence with this unified customer profile and all the work we're doing with Sylvana. And our goal, not only in the platform's capabilities, but also in their ability to learn and use this platform effectively. With time investment, they can accelerate their progress towards their goals. So really trying to use this as an accelerator for things that they're already doing well. And then focused in the short term is monitoring progress, collecting feedback, those ongoing data trainings, sharing success stories, and sustaining positive momentum where we have it. And the regional phased rollout played a large role in my approach. Really identifying power users is critical. I really tried to leverage their ability, not only to influence their peers, but also to showcase their work in their use cases for inspiration that I think really contributed to our successful adoption. So I'm sure there are many things that I didn't list here that went into it, but I think those were some of the real challenges we had as we were thinking about the individual needs of each country and region alongside our brand complexities as well.
Right. Thanks, Mark. That was great. That's some great background on how you rolled everything out. So now let's dive into some of the use cases enabled by this new Data Readiness Foundation. Tim, first up, can you tell us how this changed the way you approached marketing campaigns?
Yeah, absolutely. And similar to Mark, you used the word accelerator in the prior slide there, and yeah, really, the Data Foundation became that accelerator for campaigns. So really the short answer is once the data was ready, cleansed, trusted more, unified and accessible, the way that the collective team was able to think about campaigns completely shifted. So instead of one-off sends or isolated programs, now able to do journeys, multi-touch, multi-channel campaigns that were more consistent, more measurable, and repeatable. So the data became that fuel for the more intelligent sort of marketing capabilities that you see here. So the second one there, number 2 at the top, one that really was notable, I guess, is to address the long tail customers. Almost every organization has some bucket of customers that fall into this long tail piece. What this means is essentially, hey, the sales reps from Millipore or Merck were able to cover a certain percent of the overall customer base. And so they're going to look at either the core, the bigger accounts and customers, but they can't, it's just not possible to communicate to every one of them. And that's where a platform such as this is able to reach out to those other customers and give them that personal touch that like a sales rep would, but it's through automation. And so now this platform enables them to build intelligent automated targeting of those long tail customers and really try to maximize that revenue, tap more into those long tail customers to get them to second purchase or increase their average order value, et cetera. So other things to talk through here on number 5, we've already hit the multi-channel, multi-touch, but another big win was the abandoned browse capabilities. So most people have the abandoned cart capability. You put something in your cart, now you get followed up. But this was also the abandoned browse. So if somebody is known and is out there looking, hey, we can follow up with people after they do browse across channel again. So we can send them an email. We can educate them more maybe about some of the products that they're buying. I don't know if for many of you, as you saw Mark's slides at the beginning when talking about Millipore and Merck, there was a lot of products on there that I certainly wouldn't know about. But so I'm assuming some of the buyers don't know all of the details. So they need to be educated through some of those products or like products. And this abandoned browse enabled us collectively to do that to a lot of people through email, through social, through paid media as well, to get them back to finalize that purchase. So, and these campaigns weren't isolated wins. They represented really a step change in capabilities. So back to that word. But the capabilities, we're able to now do multi-channel enablement, multi-touch, create those journeys. Predictive scoring has begun. We've done things throughout predictive scoring. And then the road ahead is around personalization or hyper-personalization and automated testing and optimization. So the real change was that campaigns stopped being isolated blasts and became intelligent, orchestrated journeys that were relying on this data foundation. So now we can leverage other things to personalize, predict, and optimize at scale.
Great, thanks, Tim. So you mentioned predictive scoring in step 3. I know that Millipore is doing some really interesting work related to lead scoring, which is always easier said than done, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lead scoring is, you're right, Beth, is often that thing is the easier said than done challenge. And so what you see on the screen here is a lot of reasons why lead scoring often fails. The reasons are usually the same: inconsistent or incomplete data, too much reliance on a single channel, email only, or lack of alignment. At the end of the day, Mark talked about some of the org challenges and things like that. A lot of it is a process thing of alignment between sales and marketing. What is a qualified lead? So what I think helped us succeed the most at Millipore was that the Millipore team had done a lot of work before things had started. So the business stakeholders came to the table with a clear vision and detailed requirements for what they wanted to see, really in stages, right? So not trying to boil the ocean right out of the gates, but they had a clear vision for it. And we were able to then work with them, refine that a little bit, but that gave us alignment on the guardrails. So that allowed us to really figure out how we were going to do it. What you see on your screen is this teetering between a high-level architecture, maybe one level down, but really this was the how. We grabbed data, as we said earlier, from a lot of different sources. We had events like a webinar or an in-person event data sources. We had online form fills, whether that be through social media or on the Millipore websites. It could have been through other discussions, other places, through social media, like I said, or through online activity. And depending on what they're doing online, and then it's being passed back into the Redpoint platform. And that data readiness piece, that's combining both the offline as well as that online information. And so we could address these in different forms. At the end of the day, we were able to identify who those people were. If we knew them, we could look at their past behavior and everything else and have a better score, maybe include some of the firmographics and other information. Then we could pass them through the models themselves and come up with the score and be able to route them in real time or in batch. So really this architecture allowed us, depending on the lead itself, the quality of the lead, the completeness of the data, be able to either determine when to route them potentially to the sales organization. So this last slide is basically just a call out that from a Redpoint platform perspective, it allowed us to utilize some out-of-the-box models for scoring, next best purchase, offer, etc., product recommendations, churn, some other out-of-the-box models. But we could also, using the platform, call into custom third-party models as well, and still include that data in real time in session. So the end result was a scoring approach that sales could start to rely on, could start to trust. So time will tell with that for sure, but marketing could use use these scores to design better journeys, so better communications through email. And because this was built on the Data Readiness Hub, we can continue to refine these models, get better and better, feeding outcomes back in, making the scoring smarter over time, and laying the groundwork for more advanced AI-driven personalization and prioritization down the road.
Great. Thanks, Tim. So now for the money question, what I'm sure what everyone wants to know, Mark, is what are the results from these different initiatives, maybe starting with lead scoring?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm going to break this out into lead scoring themed results and then bring it back to some of our other marketing metrics. While I'm doing that, I think we'll also be starting in areas that require a little more nuance and subjectivity to metrics that are a little more easier to measure and are more objective. With lead scoring, I really think it starts with trust in the sales reps in that scoring. So we have anecdotally, I think through conversations, we've been able to keep pulse on this. In theory, we can do pulse surveys and track those scores over time. That's something I've done with users of our CDP as well. So that confidence will hopefully lead to continued tighter alignment with marketing around that high value engagement. But really, one of the things we see is that with better scoring and with more confidence, those sales reps are receiving better quality leads, and they're able to prioritize them, which comes through in their follow-up service level agreements. So really striking while the iron's hot and making sure they're contacting them within that like 24, 48 hour period of when they're expressing interest. Secondly, I think attribution is a big topic of ours internally. I would imagine most organizations debate internally about how to best attribute their marketing activities towards revenue. So we're able to demonstrate significantly higher attributed revenue for audiences activated through the CDP versus the control groups we had. We in turn were able to see reduction in manual reporting time and leading to faster revenue attribution cycles. To summarize, because data quality and customer identity were foundational, attribution is faster and more accurate, removing ambiguity around campaign ROI. Some other areas of success we saw were within spend. So the improvements in visibility, efficiency, and confidence. This improved the clarity and attribution combined with streamlined reporting, boosts our confidence in campaign effectiveness and our spending decisions as well. We are also able to see larger audiences compared to tactics that over-indexed against their benchmark KPIs. So we're looking at like email open rates, for example, if this is an email campaign, really showing that we're reaching a relevant audience with that messaging. And an easily demonstratable success we I think have been able to hang our hats on is our new ability to target certain customers that were previously falling through the cracks and the revenue we're capturing from them. So that is something where we were able to really activate previously inactive customers or potential customers and target them with really specific messaging to reactivate those accounts and ultimately chase top line revenue.
That's awesome, Mark. Those are some really impressive results. So what's next? Tim, do you want to take that one?
Sure. We're constantly evaluating that, right? Built this data readiness platform and enables a lot of new capabilities. The Solventa teams work closely with Millipore and Mark to really identify what is that road ahead. Obviously, there's a myriad of new marketing campaign tactics. They're not really individually listed here, but there's a lot now that we're driving into. So the first listed on this slide from left to right is really harnessing that account-based marketing piece more. A lot of that unified customer profile was around the B2C dimensions of the relationships. Now we can make sure that now we're also properly marketing across the accounts to multiple people that may be interested in certain categories of products from Millipore. There's the continual focus on user adoption. We have weekly office hours about the platform, how to use the platform, how to use it to integrate with other channels, any enhancement requests, all that type of stuff, just to make sure that we are pulling in as much of the user community as we can, and educating them on the art of the possible, so that we can utilize the system to its full potential. Iterating on the foundation here of what we've built. So doing more of the multi-touch, doing more personalization, more of those campaigns, as I said, increased CRM application integration. The Salesforce CRM is key to the business. We want to make sure that we're empowering those sales reps with as much information as we can. And this data readiness hub has that unified customer profile, a lot of the marketing activity, all of the purchase activity, and a bunch of other information that we can then pass back into the CRM application to better inform the sales reps during customer interactions. And we haven't mentioned it that many times, but this foundation is really there to now harness the power of AI. And so we're identifying a myriad of different AI use cases, the hyper-personalization pieces, looking deeper into segments that may have gone untouched in the past, and some other marketing tactics that we can get into. So at the end of the day, though, all of the things that we're trying to do now is we're really shifting from the migration mode to now we're operating mode, right? We're executing campaigns, harnessing the power of this, and now it's time to drive even more revenue. So the results that Mark had just shared in the prior slide, we're hoping they stay consistent or better, and that we're funneling more information through this platform to really drive more revenue.
All right. Well, thank you both so much. This has been really insightful. that's the end of our formal questions, but now we want to open it up to the audience. So if you have any questions, please, now's the time to put them in the chat, and we'll try to get through as many as we can in the next few minutes. So here's one that's come in. I think this one would be for you, Mark. How do you keep your data and identities clean and of high quality on a continual basis, and it's not just a one-time project?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of scorecards, or advocate rather. So we have I work with my marketing analytics team to help me stand this up, but it's basically a dashboard within Tableau that helps us measure the quality of values for all of our attributes and also the completeness of values for attributes. And one thing we did was basically got feedback from our marketers on what were the most important attributes that they needed for their campaigns, and looked at the completeness of those attributes, and then did an opportunity analysis of which those high priority attributes we need to increase coverage for, and then did some data enrichment exercise around that. So dashboards and scorecards, I think, would be my high level answer.
Yep, great. Here's another question: is how do you measure the ROI on a solution like this? I think maybe both of you might have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, sure. What first comes to mind is like our CDP, RPI specifically, is so foundational to what we do with our segmentation, audience building, and activation of campaigns to our various distribution channels, whether it be Salesforce Marketing Cloud or LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, Google Ads. And because it has like that foundational layer, one thing I saw somewhere on the internet was someone comparing like electricity in their office building to in how that contributes to their ROI. So no one measures the ROI of electricity for your office building. You just know you need it, and it's foundational, and it enables so many other things. That to a degree applies to CDPs, but we're also able to do things with like testing campaigns with prior methods, and then using that as a control group, and then layering on things with data in Redpoint and measuring that incremental lift. And I talked about all of those ways we were able to reactivate customers, but really at the end, this is foundational, and we need it fundamentally to execute our broader marketing strategy.
Yep, that's great. I love that analogy to electricity, Mark. Tim, do you have anything to add there? Or?
It's hard to trump the electricity analogy. It's real hard to beat that one. That's perfect. Maybe the only thing to just circle back to, but is when Mark was answering the question before in the slides for measuring the success, we are able to see after the data readiness piece, which does unlock a lot of other capabilities, which goes to that energy or electricity analogy. But separate from that too, we are able to see, hey, these campaigns that data is enabling does have an increased attribution. Now, that's where everything always gets sticky. For any of you that are listening or watching, you've gotten into attribution. There's so many different ways of calculating that it does get gray, right? Is it influenced revenue? Is it direct revenue? Is it multi, single touch, last touch, first touch? A myriad of other things to consider. No silver bullet there. But overall, when we compare against control groups to what activity is flowing through the system, there is an increase of some magnitude. So now we have to put a little bit more rigor against all of that. And as we unlock new capabilities and take advantage of the electricity, and we deploy new campaigns, we can hopefully do more of the control and test analysis to kind of see where the uplift is happening, additional sales, additional revenue, etc.
Okay, great. Thank you both. So we have one additional question. So how long did it take to complete your data readiness project or platform? I don't know who wants to take that one.
Let me just start, Mark. And
yeah, I mean, you might, because I took over partway through from my predecessor. So you've been on this journey since the beginning.
Absolutely. No, it's a great question, key to some of the early pieces. So at a high level, the first piece of this was an MVP, phase one. And let's call it just shy of 6 months to address the core capabilities of the platform and get the core data needed into the system for core countries. So at that point, the scope was focused around North American countries, US, Canada, and core systems, SAP, e-com, CRM. I mean, there was still a lot of systems, more, but get that in there. That was the MVP to see, does this thing work? That one's important because at Solvena, we often talk about enabling exit ramps in these sort of implementations, right? Because if back to the boil the ocean analogy, you don't want to try to boil the ocean, and you certainly don't want to do that if you don't have an exit ramp. You don't want to lay concrete to where you can't back out of it. So in this case, we had a 6-month MVP to prove, can this thing really support the energy grid that Mark just referred to from an electricity perspective. We passed through that in 6 months, and then that's where the scalability started to roll out. So that's when we started to include other countries, started to include a few other systems. So in total, at this point, we're about 2.5 years into this journey. We have really all those systems and over 30 countries into the data readiness platform. We have the modeling capabilities, lead scoring, and a myriad of orchestration and targeting pieces that are sending out to multiple activation channels, email, social, paid media, etc. So 6 months MVP, 2.5 years into the overall journey is kind of the short answer.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tim. Well, I can't believe we stayed on time, on target, but unfortunately we are out of time. So I want to thank.
That's always a good thing for Solvena. We're always on time, on budget.
Right.
As a professional services firm, anybody listening,
right.
Solvena, on time, on budget. No.
So I want to thank you both for speaking today. I thought this was a really fun conversation. If you have any additional questions, or you want to learn more about Redpoint or Solvena, please reach out to Tim or I directly. And yeah, that's a wrap. So I hope everyone has a great afternoon, and thanks again for the great presentations.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.